Cole, thanks for coming on. It's been an
Super
insane
happy to be
journey.
here.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy how quickly sort of I've been set up and how like meeting you has kind of really springboarded my whole thing. I guess we can kind of jump right into it. We could talk a little bit about how we met, I guess. Right? Like, I started what TikTok probably now, probably about six,
Five or
five or
six
six
weeks.
weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like probably within the first week or two, I had my TikTok account. Like I came across your page and I followed you. So then I got to see more of your content. And just out of the blue, something came up and I was like, you know what? I'm doing videos. This is something I want to talk about. I kind of just stitched your video and you just happen to see, I mean, a content size, I mean, as big as you are to see like the one thing that, gets stitched. I'm sure you don't see them all. I'm sure you see like a decent amount of them. And then I guess like the rest is just like in the works. We just kind of started talking. We kind of like we're like, oh, like where are you at? I like your content. I think it's just a really funny story about, personally for me and why it's like to be in a place. You can call your strings of luck just that and luck. But in reality, if I wasn't in a place to really jump at opportunity, you saying you liked my stuff, we would have just probably, been TikTok friends. But instead, I kind of reached out. I said, do you want to like maybe do like a video or a collab? And you're like, yeah, that sounds great. So then we got on a call and we kind of got along really good. We we were just having a great time on that call. And then right after that call, I booked a plane ticket to come out to Salt Lake City to see you.
It
And
was crazy. I didn't expect you to want to come like that soon. That was really cool.
yeah, it's when I tell like when I was out there too, everyone's like, "Why are you here?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm doing a little bit of business. I had this really great opportunity, and I'm someone who does business face to face. I guess that's the old language of it. But yeah, but like I came out, man. Like the first night that we hung out, we had that great dinner. I mean, we just vibed, and I guess that just goes to show you that like when you're doing things that like you really love, you kind of just things just kind of get put into place, right? And then we had that great day on the
That's
mountain,
totally true.
which was
Yeah.
great. So yeah, so enough about how we met. Yet, I mean, you've obviously been doing the TikTok thing longer than I have, and you have built up like some really great success. So yeah, I guess tell the people kind of like about your deal, like how you come up, your
Got
story.
started.
Yeah.
Cool. I'd love to. So yeah, I started it back in like the very end of April. I started with making like random guitar videos. But the reason why was because like I got married when I was pretty young. I was 20, and then I didn't really take any time to grieve after that. And then I got in another long relationship, and then she dumped me too. And I like just was sick of feeling hurt, and I didn't want like other people to feel it too. So that's why I started making them. And like I just made it a deal with myself. I paid this guy on YouTube $300 for TikTok so I'd have some skin in the game. And like, I just made it a deal that I'd make 3 videos every single day for 30 days. And if I failed, I would like quit. So,
Well, good thing you didn't fail, huh?
yeah. Yeah. So I made 3 day for 30 days. And by the end of the first 30 days, I was at like 6,500 followers. And it wasn't huge, but it was like good enough for me to like think that it was kind of cool. And there were some people saying I sucked, but some people saying that they liked it. So kept
It's
going after that. And it's gotten a lot different now.
it's so funny because I feel like I come across like those inspirational TikTok videos all the time. And they're like, you just have to keep consistent with it. You just have to post a lot and you'll be successful. And I feel like a year ago I would have gawked at that, like, oh, come on, that's not all it takes. I mean, I knew hard work paid off, but I always thought like the social media beast was a little bit different. And I kind of did the same thing. It was just like 3 to 6, sometimes 9 videos a day, just didn't stop.
Yeah,
And
you've gone a lot crazier than me. It's
I
pretty
mean, it's
cool.
it's wild. I think 5 weeks in, I think I'm almost at 27,000. And
Yeah, awesome.
yeah, the best part about it is like just the engagement for me. Like I don't really get too many negative comments, if any. I get some that are sort of maybe pointing out different aspects. Like, if I talked about a past relationship, they'll be like, you're not over her, or why don't you be the bigger
Yeah.
person? Like, everyone has their opinion, but I haven't really
Mhm.
got too many negative comments. Everyone's kind of just like happy to be there. And, if I get one comment a day that's like, thank you, I needed to hear this, the whole thing's worth it?
Yeah, it's cool. I
So,
think that that's kind of, I've been amazed with that. Lately, I've started Discord and we can talk about that later too. But it's kind of amazing if you're doing something that you think is positive and that you really believe in. I think it resonates with enough people because like I made this Discord and like I have no idea. I don't regulate it at all really. Like I have some moderators. I think I've kicked out two people ever and there's over 700 people in it now and like everyone is kind to each other and everyone's positive. So I think like a lot of the world wants to be like that and as long as you put out like a positive message, they'll kind of just like carry that forward too.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think like the self-help space is definitely big on the social media platforms right now, especially after
Yeah.
like
It's huge.
after COVID. I think everybody spent a long time alone and isolated, and I think it really maybe made everybody just reflect on themselves more because like they couldn't go and busy themselves out in the world doing things that distracted them.
Mm.
But like there's definitely been a push where people want to get out there and talk about and maybe even resolve a lot of the stuff that's going on in their lives, which is really cool. I mean,
Yeah.
it's wonderful, whereas like, 5 years ago, I don't think there was as much like self-help educational stuff out on the internet in general.
Yeah. I think it's like a big part of I was reading something about generations today, and it was just talking about how Gen Z is like special for wanting to follow passions and making a difference in the world. So I think that everyone already wants to do that. So if you're thinking about starting something that lets people like scratch that itch of making a difference and helping other people, people are going to jump on really quickly because everyone already wants to do that. People just don't know how to do it.
Yeah. So that's wild. So like you found your niche all obviously. Well, at least for right now, like what I've always seen and what you're blowing
Yeah.
up with in the beginning was sort of like talking about people's exes a lot. And
Yeah.
I think we'll definitely have to like spend a whole episode on like the ins and outs of that. But
Cool.
did you find that like grabbing onto a niche, like how quickly did you find your niche as far as, you know, when you were exploring your TikTok and like what to do? Like, did you trial and error a lot of things?
Yeah, like I said, I started out with like guitar cover videos. Like if you go down to the very beginning, which is like 800 videos ago, it's like three guitar covers. And then after that, it was me driving around in my car and talking about things I learned in Atomic Habits. And then it was random Buddhism principles that I thought were cool. And then like finally, um, I was still like when I started my TikTok, I had just barely gotten broken up with this girl. So I was like exes were a big focus, but even more than that was like I felt like I had made consistent mistakes in my relationships that I didn't want other people to go through. So my
Mm,
first video that got big was pretty much just me talking and building up hype for about 3 seconds, saying like, if you do this one thing, then it'll change your relationship and save it. And then I did this like thing I saw where you put the text on the screen of what you want them to see for like the last like half a second. It pisses everyone off, but it got them to watch the video multiple times so they could read it. But it was pretty much just like communication tips that I felt like I'd really messed up on in my marriage and my relationship after that, that I wanted people to get better at. And that
mhm.
video went up to 300,000. That was the first one that I ever had that went above 200 views. So, yeah, after that, I was just like, okay, I guess I talk about relationships now. And that's what I've kept doing.
Yeah. And I think you said this that it kind of was only like maybe like a handful of like viral videos that really like sprung you into sort of where you are now. That,
Yeah.
things that didn't work before, reposting them started to work. And isn't it such a funny space that like depending on when you post or, you know, just who sees it at first, like what springboards you and how, if you really just boil it down, it's only like maybe 25 videos that like maybe surmount for 100,000 of your views
Yep.
because you have one thing go viral and you get 10,000, 15,000 people follow you from it. It's just, I guess, like the a little bit of that luck of the draw, right? Of when those videos hit.
It's definitely like you definitely get better. Like that's one thing that I have a friend that's big on YouTube and when I just started TikTok, I went to him. I had like 200 followers and I'd always get it was really hard for me to get above 2 or 300 views and I was always like, "Why?" And he's like, "It's because your videos aren't that good." And I was like, "Yes, they are." But like so yeah, I do think the huge viral ones are luck. It has to catch on at the right time, but also if all of your videos are consistently getting none, it is the quality of your videos. And
Mhm.
like as they get better, you're consistently getting the thousands. Like I think my videos are just better than they used to be now, and that's why I get like around 10,000 minimum usually.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ones that go like to 100,000, 500,000, a million, they are better, and I think they are catchier. But yeah, a lot of it is just do your best every time, and some of them catch on.
You
That's
could
why you post a
really
ton.
you could really get carried away with like how am I saying things or like what tone am I
Yeah.
using? Like there's so many things I guess you could like nitpick. But yeah, it's wild. But I think you're right. You know, practice does make perfect. So in the beginning, I feel like we all experience the, you know, very low limited success.
Mm.
But it's like one of those things where you keep with it, and it's either going to tell you that you need to change something, or eventually you get a little bit better. Kind of find that like that real growth. Because like now you've built that into a whole. I mean, you do lives multiple times, what 5 days a week now,
Yeah. Yep.
and you also take on people, and you're doing calls where you're taking actual like what is it, a half hour at a time calls that you're
They're an hour.
an hour call. So you're taking an hour
Yeah.
for these people individually, and people are reaching out and talking to you about, their, specific issues. And you probably get to see a lot of like what's really going on. And, you're spending a lot of
It's
time really giving back.
really interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting. Like so I started doing the calls when I was like at 10,000 followers, and I honestly didn't know anything then. Like I had my own experience. I was divorced and I went through a breakup, but that was like it. And I was like talking to adults who had been married for like 20 years and trying to give them advice on books I had read and things like that and YouTube videos. And I think I didn't know more than the average person because I don't think the average person reads all that, but I did not have the experience.
Hmm.
So those first ones were probably pretty rough, and I'm grateful for those people for like calling me anyway. But like, yeah, now I've done, I think, over 200 of the hour-long calls, and yeah, probably closer to 300. And like, it's amazing just the experience you can get from hearing everyone's story and talking through what they think they did wrong. Like, that's, I think, has kind of been a cheat code for me having my own like good relationship now, as I've gotten to see in calls personally about 300 people's relationships fail and see why. And then also just on the comments, probably like 20,000 of them telling me what they did wrong. So it's a really good opportunity to learn too.
Yeah. No, for sure. So, when we give like the one sentence pitch, right, of like what we do. So like if someone were to say you should follow Cole if you're looking for blank, how would you kind of describe the overwhelm, like just the overview of your platform?
A good question. I would say that if you want to get, I might do like two sentences.
No, you can have a whole
If,
paragraph, really.
okay, cool. if you if you're really struggling getting through your breakup or divorce and you don't know what to do, you can't eat or sleep, then if you follow me, you'll get a community of people who are doing the same thing you're doing, and you'll learn how to grow and become better through your breakup and divorce. That's what I'm trying to do.
Awesome. So a lot of like post breakup relationship, community building, and personal building.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mainly,
Uh,
like I do the pathway I take through people through is basically starting with having a plan to get their ex back, because I've just observed that that's what pretty much every single person wants right after, whether it's good for them or not.
hmm,
So I try to give them comfort first, and then once they have that, shift their focus over to what they can do to improve themselves and figure out what like problems they were causing in their relationship. And then once they do that and they fix those things, they're either going to get back with their person and they'll be happier than ever and actually last, or they'll get with someone new, which is what happened with me, and be
mhm.
happier than they ever knew was possible. So that's the
Yeah.
goal with it.
That's great. I think that's why we got along so well. Because I think in the beginning, I was like, all right, this is a guy who's talking a lot about getting back with his ex, but his real purpose here is sort of bettering yourself so that they'll see the mistakes, but also like getting somebody, getting another partner and not being stagnant. And, my whole thing is just working everything back to your mindset. Like there's so much advice out there. Everybody's going to tell you how to do something or have some sort of trick. And there's no cheat code, right? It's you get to control kind of one thing. In my opinion, it's just your mentality. So I think we both just aligned so much on the better yourself, like because we all want that happiness, and sort of communicating that to our different audiences is something that I think what makes us unique in both of our strategies. Whereas like you kind of focus a lot on the relationship stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do it too, but I think I have more of like the, you know, just general, like, be good with yourself. The rest will come. Like there's no problem we can't conquer. And maybe that'll be my
Yeah.
downfall, that I don't have such a, defined niche, but we'll figure that out for the weeks to
Working so
come.
far.
Yeah, yeah. It's been pretty good. But most of the videos that have blown up on my side have pretty much been relationship stuff.
People care about that.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we all have relationships. I think that's why.
Yeah, I've
But
seen I'm doing a course right now on how to build courses because that's one of the next things I want to do with my business. But it says the most successful ones are always in relationships, health, or wealth building. Those are the things people care about.
it, that makes sense. So yeah, so we pretty much are going to be doing this, like, every so often, but you're going to be like a regular. So keeping updated. So we'll definitely, we'll have you back. And, you have so many stories. So I'm sure, coming on, once every other week or so, it's just going to be, chock full of your stories, which is going to be great. I look forward to it. I can't wait. We
Too.
definitely have to have a whole episode of just like our story meeting, and like we'll talk about our past. I mean, the stories are endless. I feel like we have enough content ourselves for the rest of this year, just talking between what we already have and what we know about each other. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it'll be a good time. I'm going to post all your links on the YouTube that
Cool.
we post. Obviously the podcast will have your stuff as well. I mean, I think everybody should check your stuff out. I really loved it myself. I mean, I wouldn't be here essentially without, this connection, and like I've made a lifelong friend, which is dope. Yeah, I'm excited to see what we do. I think this podcast is gonna be great. This is like the
I'm
opening
excited
episode.
too.
Yeah. So hey, a little bit about us, I guess. That's gonna open it up, and we'll have the rest to come.
Cool.